Hey everyone, welcome back to channel. Today we're diving into the world of numismatics, the study or collection of currency. In particular, we're talking about a coin that many of us might have seen lying around but might not realize holds a rich history. Yes, we're talking about the 1965 Washington quarter. So if you're curious about what makes this coin special, its collectible value, and what you should look out for, keep watching. The Washington quarter was first introduced back in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the quarter initially featured a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper. However, things changed in the mid-1960s with rising silver prices. In 1965, the U.S. Mint made a big decision to change the metal composition of the quarter, and that brings us to today's star coin. The 1965 Washington quarter kept the same familiar design with George Washington's profile on the obverse and the bald eagle on the reverse. But here's what marked the start of a new era, as the silver content was replaced with a clad composition of copper and nickel. This was a massive shift for the U.S. Mint, and 1965 was the very first year this copper-nickel composition was introduced. So this coin represents a pivotal moment in U.S. currency history. Now, how can you identify a 1965 quarter? First, take a look at the date, which you'll find on the obverse side just below Washington's neck. Also check the rim of the coin. Unlike the pre-1965 silver quarters, the clad composition quarter shows a copper-colored edge due to its copper core. You can also feel the coin's silver coins tend to feel slightly heavier due to the difference in metal. So, what's the value of a 1965 Washington quarter today? Since it's made of copper and nickel instead of silver, a standard circulated 1965 quarter isn't worth much above face value. Most circulated examples are worth around 25 to 50 cents in today's coin market. But don't be disappointed. There are a few exceptions. Yes, some 1965 quarters are worth more. Error coins are highly collectible. Look out for double die errors, where some of the lettering or design elements appear to have been stamped twice. Another rare find is a 1965 silver quarter, as a few were mistakenly minted with the old silver composition. A silver 1965 quarter can fetch hundreds of dollars, so it's worth checking carefully. If you're thinking about adding a 1965 quarter to your collection or want to start collecting, here are a few tips. First, invest in a magnifier. Errors can be tricky to spot. Second, keep an eye on the coin's condition. Quarters in mint or uncirculated condition are generally more valuable. Finally, consider consulting a numismatic expert or a coin dealer, especially if you think you've found an error coin. And don't forget, coin collecting can be a lot of fun, and it's a great way to own a piece of history. U.S. coins. To talk about the iconic 1977 Washington quarter, we'll be exploring its history, interesting details about its design, and of course answering the big question. What's the value of this quarter if you happen to have one in your pocket or coin collection today? The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 as a tribute to the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Since then, it has become one of the most widely recognized coins in the United States. The 1977 Washington quarter, like many others, features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse, or front side, of the coin, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Flanagan's design was selected in a public competition, and it's been on the quarter ever since, with only a few modifications over the years. Washington's profile is accompanied by the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" below him. You'll find the year 1977, the year it was minted. Now, let's flip it over. The reverse side of the quarter features a detailed image of a bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing both peace and strength. This design also stayed consistent from 1932 all the way to 1998, before it was replaced by the 50-state quarters program. In 1,999.1977 quarters were produced at both the Denver and Philadelphia mints. You can tell where your coin was minted by looking for the small mint mark near Washington's neck. If there's a D, it means it was made in Denver. No mark means it was minted in Philadelphia. San Francisco also produced a small number of proof quarters that year, but these were intended only for collectors. These quarters are made of a copper-nickel blend with a core of pure copper. They're not silver, which is important to remember for anyone hoping to cash in on metal value. With everyday circulation, they tend to develop wear and scratches, especially around the high points like Washington's hair and the eagle's wings. So, what's a 1977 quarter worth today if you find one in circulation? The truth is, if it's a regular circulated quarter, it's usually worth just that 25 cents. These coins were mass-produced with over 850 million struck in Philadelphia and more than 256 million in Denver. However, the value can increase based on condition or if there are any errors. Certain errors like doubled dies, missing letters, or coins struck slightly off-center can increase a quarter's value significantly. In these cases, an error 1977 quarter could be worth anywhere from a few dollars to even hundreds if it's in great shape and has a dramatic error. For collectors, the real value of a 1977 quarter comes in higher grade examples. Coins in mint state 65 or higher, meaning they have no signs of wear, brilliant luster, and sharp details, can fetch more from collectors. A 1977 Washington quarter graded at MS65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC could be worth around $10 to $25, depending on the market. Now, is a 1977 quarter worth hanging on to? Well, if it's in standard circulated condition, it's probably just a nice historical piece. But if you come across one in exceptional shape or with a rare mint error, you might have something special. Either way, these quarters are a great reminder of the history behind the coins we handle every day. Today we're diving into a small but significant piece of American coinage, the 1984 Washington quarter. We'll break down the design, talk a bit about its history, and, of course, get to what you're probably here for how much this coin could be worth if you find it in your pocket change today. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932, originally introduced to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. It features his portrait on the obverse side, which was designed by sculptor John Flanagan. This design has remained largely the same over the years, making the Washington quarter one of the longest-lasting designs in U.S. coin history. The 1984 Washington quarter, specifically, is a standard-issue coin in the Washington series. On the obverse, or head side, you'll see George Washington's profile facing left. The year 1984 is printed underneath his chin, with the word Liberty above and In God We Trust to the left. Flip it over, and on the reverse side, you'll find a bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing peace and strength. Now, let's talk about where these coins were made and how many were produced. The 1984 quarter was minted in two main locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Philadelphia will have in 1984, over 1 billion Washington quarters were produced, more than enough to ensure these coins are widely available in circulation even today. Specifically, about 676 million quarters were minted in Philadelphia, while Denver contributed with around 546 million. So these coins are not rare by any means. But there are a few things that can make one of these coins special or more valuable. Let's get to what everyone wants to know: the value. For most 1984 Washington quarters, especially those that have been in circulation, the value is close to their face value of 25 cents. Because they are common and not composed of silver, circulated quarters from this year don't hold high intrinsic value. However, their worth can increase if they're in particularly good condition. A typical 1984 quarter in heavily circulated condition, meaning it shows lots of wear and tear, is worth face value about 25 cents. In a higher grade, like extremely fine, it might bring around 50 cents to $1 to collectors. If you're lucky enough to have a quarter in near mint or uncirculated condition, the value could go up to $1.50 or more. While the standard 1984 quarter doesn't fetch high prices, certain errors and varieties can make them more valuable. Let's cover some notable ones. If you notice any doubling in the inscriptions on the obverse or reverse, this is known as a doubled die error. For example, if Liberty or In God We Trust appears doubled, this can increase the coin's value significantly. Sometimes, coins are struck with less force, causing parts of the design to look faint. While less common, these errors can add a small premium. When a coin is struck off-center, some part of the design will be missing from the edge. Collectors love these types of errors, and their value depends on how much of the design is affected. So, if you find a 1984 Washington quarter with one of these unusual characteristics, it could be worth several dollars or even more. To know exactly what your 1984 quarter is worth, you'll need to understand its grade. Coin grading is a way of assessing a coin's condition. Today we're diving into the history, details, and potential value of a common yet fascinating coin, the 1988 Washington quarter. Have you ever wondered if that quarter you got as change could be worth more than 25 cents? Stick around, because today we're going to find out. First, let's take a quick look at the history behind the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter has been a staple in American currency since it was introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the design has changed slightly over the years, but the essential look has remained the same, featuring George Washington's profile on the front. Now, the Washington Quarter was originally minted in 90% silver until 1964. After that, due to rising silver prices, it switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, which is what our 1988 quarter is made of. Let's talk specifically about the 1988 Washington Quarter. Like all quarters made after 1964, it's made of a copper-nickel blend, which makes it durable and resistant to everyday wear. The 1988 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 mm. On the obverse side, we see George Washington's profile with the word Liberty above his head, In God We Trust on the left, and the date 1988 at the bottom dot on the reverse side. We have the traditional eagle design that was used on quarters from 1932 until the state quarters began in 1999. The eagle is perched with its wings spread, clutching a bundle of arrows, and there's an olive branch underneath a symbol of peace and strength. Something important to look for on the 1988 Washington Quarter is the mint mark, which tells us where the coin was made. You'll find it just above the date on the obverse side. For 1988, the most common mint marks are D for the Denver Mint and P for the Philadelphia Mint. If your coin has an S, it was minted in San Francisco, but those are typically proof coins made with higher quality, and for collectors, the mint mark can sometimes impact the value of a coin, especially if there's a significant difference in the number of coins produced at each mint. All right, let's get to the question everyone wants answered: what's the 1988 quarter? Today we're diving into the world of coin collecting with a closer look at one of the most widely circulated coins in the US, the 1983 Washington Quarter. We'll cover everything you need to know about its history, features, and of course its value in today's market. So if you're a collector or just curious about the coins in your pocket, stick around. Let's start with a little background. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, has become an iconic piece of American coinage. This quarter was originally made with a silver composition, but starting in 1965, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. By 1983, the Washington Quarter had been circulating for over 50 years, and it was firmly established as a staple of American currency. Now, let's zoom in on the 1983 Washington Quarter itself. The obverse, or front, of the coin shows a portrait of George Washington facing left, with the word Liberty above his head and In God We Trust on the left side. The minting date, in this case 1983, appears at the bottom dot on the reverse side. You'll see an eagle with outspread wings, a symbol of strength and unity. Below the eagle is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, and below that. The denomination quarter dollar. This eagle reverse design was in use until 1998, when it was replaced by the 50-state quarters. Here's where it gets interesting. Despite being a relatively recent coin, the 1983 Washington Quarter is considered a notable find among collectors. And that's mainly because of one reason: no quarters were issued for collectors in 1983. The U.S. Mint didn't release special mint sets or uncirculated collector versions of the 1983 quarters, making high-grade 1983 quarters harder to come by. So, if you have a 1983 Washington Quarter in excellent condition, it's worth more than face value to collectors. Coins graded at MS65 or higher are especially sought after, as they're uncommon due to the lack of collector versions produced that year. Now, let's talk numbers. The value of a 1983 Washington Quarter depends mainly on its condition. Here's a quick breakdown. If your 1983 quarter has visible wear and tear from use, it's usually worth around $25. Uncirculated condition, meaning they have little to no visible wear, can sell for a few dollars each. In grades MS60 to MS64, they might range from $2 to $15. Coins graded MS65 or higher are where things get more valuable. A 1983 quarter in MS65 can fetch $20 to $30, while grades above MS66 can go for significantly more, sometimes over $100 at auction. Keep in mind, these values fluctuate with the market, and prices might vary depending on demand. So checking recent auction results can give you an up-to-date idea of current values. Like many coins, some 1983 Washington quarters have unique error varieties, and these can boost the coin's value even more. A few examples include: this occurs when the die is misaligned during the minting process, resulting in a doubled image. These can be found on both the obverse and reverse of the coin. If the coin is struck off center, it can lead to part of the design being cut off, which is a valuable error for collectors. These are flaws in the die that can create lines or missing pieces on the coin surface. These can also add value depending on the severity and visibility of the error. Error coins are quite popular, and a 1983 quarter with a significant error can be worth much more than a regular condition. If you have a 1983 quarter that looks like it's in good shape, consider getting it graded by a professional coin grading service, such as OR. They'll assess the condition and certify the grade, which can add to its resale value if you decide to sell. For preservation, always handle coins by the edges, avoid direct skin contact, and store them in protective holders or flips. This will help maintain the coin's condition and prevent any damage that could lower its value. And that's it for our deep dive into the 1983 Washington quarter. Whether you're hoping to find a rare, high-grade example or just want to learn more about this piece of American history, we hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check your pocket change. You might have a valuable piece right under your nose. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button if you found this video helpful and subscribe to our channel for more content on coins, currency, and collectibles. See you next time.